Hello everyone, this is Fahad Ali with a video, and this time the video is all about exam techniques. The exam techniques of O levels economics and O levels business studies, they are quite similar. But again, more commonly, I'm just talking about the exam techniques from the perspective of past papers, that how to attempt the past paper questions when you are solving the questions, which exam techniques are very important, and which exam techniques should be taken care of while solving the questions. So if you haven't subscribed, do subscribe the channel and share the video and watch the whole video. Do not leave it in between. Okay, so let's start with the video. So first of all, I'll be just talking about some of the command words. There are command words which says that explain. Okay, there is a command word which says state. There is a command word which says describe. There is a command word which says to you maybe if the question is saying analyze. We don't know how to use these command words. Whenever there is a question explain, we just tend to ignore the first word which is there, which is the command word always. So command word tells you how to go about. As the word suggests command, he or she is giving you the command. The examiner is giving you the command to do this in this question, and you don't know how to go about. Many of the students are just confused what to do in the examination. Many of the teachers don't tell their students about these command words. So remember this thing. There are two things. First is this command word. Second is the concept which is required. Explain means you explain something, you give in detail about the concept. You just explain the concept very well. State, there are a lot of candidates who write a lot in the state question. State doesn't need any explanation at all. Let's suppose if there's a question, state two types of price elasticity of supply. So what do you say? You say inelastic supply and elastic supply. That's it. You don't need to explain anything. You are wasting your time. When you're wasting your time and explaining in a state word, so what happens? You will be penalized in the other parts of the question. So remember this thing. Describe word. Whenever there's a word describe, remember this thing, you have to just explain in detail. Sir, what's the difference between describe and explain? Explain is a smaller term where you don't have to go in depth, but describe means you just have to go for the kinds, types, and all the things which are important. Analyze is the word where you give the relationship of two things. Let's suppose there is a question, analyze the link between price and the quantity demanded. Okay, so you just explain that. You mean you need to establish the relationship in the question that if the price is increasing, quantity demanded keeps on decreasing, and if the price is decreasing, so quantity demanded increases in that situation. Okay, so I'll just repeat it again. Maybe I just explained it wrong earlier. So if the price is increasing, your quantity demanded decreases. This is law of demand. If your price is increasing, so your quantity demanded will decrease. Okay, so I hope I have made the correction over here. Discuss means you always write the pros and cons. Okay, pros and cons. It means you are writing a two-sided answer in a discuss part. Candidates do make a mistake in a discuss part. What type of mistake they make? So let's move forward, and I'll just explain everything in this video. Remember this thing. Let's talk about the time. Time is very important. Exam technique means I'll be talking about everything 2 hours, 15 minutes. Every candidate sees this, observes this time as a good time. But remember this thing, a candidate who hasn't done good practice. Practice is something which makes a candidate better. Always remember. A candidate who has practiced at least 10 past papers before the exam will be able to finish the paper on time. There's a 99% chance that he or she will be able to complete the paper on time. But a candidate who hasn't even done a single past paper before the examination, so there is a high chance that you will not be able to complete the paper on the exam in the given exam time, and you will fail to complete it. Maybe you leave some of the parts. This is a major problem we observe, and many of the candidates just ask each other that have you completed the paper, and you are also confused that why you're not able to complete the paper, because the reason is that you're not habitual of doing it as a practice. So when you are doing a good practice, so it means you are going to just do it on time and complete it on time. Examination, what we tend to do in the examination is that we observe every question in the exam. Let's suppose if the paper is there, I just go through question number 1, question 2, question 3, question 4. You are not attempting all the questions at the same time. What happens if, let's suppose, you are good in question 1, you are good in question 2. If you have observed question number 4 and there's only one part which is E, and you don't know how to solve E part, so this will this will make your self-confidence decrease. You will not be so confident in the examination, and what will happen, this confidence decrease, this decrease in your self confidence will have a negative impact in all the questions you are about to attempt, and you know those questions very well, but still you will make mistakes. You will not make it more, you will not make it effective in the examination. So I'll recommend you do not go through all the questions at the start of the paper. Okay, so first thing. Second, moving forward, there is a case study. Always remember, you need to just take a highlighter if you're not able to take the highlighter. So remember this thing, you need to take a pen, maybe a green pen or maybe a black pen. Whatever pen is there with you, you just highlight the important details. Maybe two commercial banks, 32% of the market, 11.5, 22.3%, and these things. So you just highlight all the important factors which are to be there, which are to be discussed in the examination. So just highlight them, because many of the candidates just waste their time in going over to the question and again, going over to the same details again and again. So just highlight the main details, and then afterwards, what you do, just go to the question. Alternate tip is over here is that many of the teachers ask the students to just read the first question. Let's suppose if you read to calculate how many dollars 6,400 Nigerian naira would have bought in 2019. So maybe if you want, you can read the question too, and then you can read the case. It's up to you. But I recommend you to read the case and underline important details which you think are important. You just go over the questions, you just solve all the questions in sequence. What is important is that you should follow the sequence. It's better to follow the sequence rather than just skipping this, but that's something appreciable over here. And then after this, you have question number 2. Section B, answer any 3 questions. Let's see the choices which are available to you in this question. There are 5 questions in total, and you have to just select any 3 questions. So one thing that students are very happy about that is they have to leave 2 questions. This is not something good for them. Let me tell you why. Because the reason is that whenever you are solving any question, all the questions carry all the parts. If you see the question number 2, first concept, opportunity cost, chapter number 1. Economic problem, chapter number 1. Wages of all the teachers may increase. Now you have jumped on to the last section of the book. So it means section 1 and then section 3 or maybe section 5. I'm not sure what the book you are using. It depends on the book. But again, there are 2 choices. Discuss whether or not a teacher should benefit from specialization. Again, what happens, we have come down to the chapter number 1. So this is how the examiner has divided your syllabus in such a way that you cannot leave any section behind. If you have left any section behind in order to avail the opportunity of leaving that as a choice, you are getting into the trap of the examiner. Remember this thing. Employment question. Then he or she is talking about the income tax, second, which is a separate area. Government spending, last section of the question. And the last one is unemployment rate, which is again the last section. So remember this thing, you are going over all the areas of the syllabus. So you are being tested in such a way that you are answering all the questions, and you have to just touch all the areas. This is what the examiner has changed after 2020. So the examiner question is designed in such a way that all the topics have been tested in one question. So what you need to do, for question number 2, remember what is the tip over here? The tip is that you need to give an example, either an example, a formula, or a diagram. Sir, we don't have a diagram for opportunity cost. Yes, you can skip that if you don't have a diagram. So you have an example for that. So you could go for an example. Sir, what if I don't give an example? Always remember this thing, the examiner report, maybe not the examiner report, maybe the marking scheme gives you an example after in the marking scheme. Let's suppose you are observing the definition. After the definition, there is an example given over there 99% of the time. The examiner deducts your marks by saying that it is partial understanding. So partial understanding means you have not given example or formula or diagram, whichever is applicable over there. First tip over here. Second is explain the economic problem. You know the economic problem and why it is always likely to exist. There are 2 parts to explain the economic problem. One, second is why it is always likely to exist. You need to discuss the scarcity thing over here. So you need to answer both the things. That's why 4 marks are given, 2 for this and 2 marks for this. And whenever there's a question like this, opportunity cost, basic economic problem, and these things, so remember this thing, use the textbook definition. Word to word definition is something which is appreciable because examiners always give the word to word definition in the marking scheme. Then the third part is wages, why the wages of all teachers may increase. Again, this is the analysis part. So you need to just make relationship in between the wages of the teachers and why it may increase with the case. You need to link it with the case that why do you think that it might increase. So you need to give the reasons and then establish a relationship. What is the relationship between the wages of the teachers and why it can increase? So you need to just give a cause and effect. Okay. And the last one is saying discuss. Discuss question. Candidates do make a mistake. They, in the start, they either write down a yes or no. Remember this thing. This is not appreciated at all. You do not write a yes or no. You give a neutral statement. Let me give an example of this. Discuss whether or not a teacher would benefit from specialization. Teachers may benefit from specialization. That's it. This is a neutral statement. Now you start with the pros of this. Pros means you support this statement that yes, teachers might be affected. Maybe you give maximum 3 points in the favor, and then you go in the against of this. You give 3 points, altogether 6 points. One paragraph for the introduction thing, three paragraphs, separate paragraphs of the pros, three separate paragraphs for the cons. That is the disadvantage. So 7 paragraphs have already been made by you. Sir, the paragraphs are too small for introduction. It doesn't seem good, but it is the best thing. This is the professional writing what we used to do in our exam. So always remember a smaller paragraph. It is also appreciable. And how you make the paragraph? Let's suppose you were writing it down 4 lines. Leave one line, then start from the first from the start of the line like this. Let's suppose your sentence font has added ended over here, the text system. You have ended your paragraph. Now you leave one line in between, then you start from problems are this. So when you've left the one line in between, so your examiner will get an idea that you are continuing a second point. We have learned this in our English language that separate idea means separate paragraphs, but we don't tend to apply it in examinations. So three advantage, three disadvantage, one introduction paragraph, and the last one is conclusion. So what do we write in the conclusion part? Conclusion part, you always give your supporting argument. Which area do you support? Majority of times I've attended the examination trainings. They say that the examiner is not looking for the conclusion part, but it is the best thing if you give the conclusion. Maybe you supported that the teachers might benefit from the specialization. Justify your arguments, justify your statement by giving more supportive arguments in the conclusion. There's no right or wrong answer in the last part. Okay. You cannot say that a candidate who has said that a teacher would not benefit from specialization will get the marks, or a candidate who has said that the teachers would benefit from specialization will get the marks. There's no right or wrong. It all depends which argument you're supporting and which way you are going forward in your examination. But your concrete arguments need to be there. You need to support your arguments in a well-mannered way so that the examiner should be convinced. This is what is very important. Maybe 10 candidates might have written the same perspective, but maybe the 9 candidates might receive full marks and the last one might not receive the full marks. The reason is that because the last one might not have developed the arguments. So this is it for the exam techniques. I tried my level best to make it more shorter, but again, the things which are very important needs to be there in the video. So I hope you like the video. If you like the video, share it with your friends and those who are doing all of this. And like the video if you like it. Comment below if there is any question in your mind. Share it with your friends and do subscribe the channel if it feels you feel that this is very much helpful to you. There's a Facebook page which is named Fahad Ali. Do like that Facebook page. You will get the updates of latest videos over there. Yeah, so thank you for watching the video. Goodbye.